bersama anda ke puncak dunia.
Shared Prosperity Action Council to monitor Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. Health Ministry specialists deployed to Sabah. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, and you're watching Updates at Noon with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, the government will set up the Shared Prosperity Action Council, known as MTKB, which will act as a top-level monitoring mechanism so that the objectives of the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030, also known as WKB 2030, can be achieved. Now, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said WKB 2030 is a core policy in the country's development for the next 10 years, and therefore such a council must be established so that there is direct positive impact on the people and the country. The Premier said to ensure that the objectives set in WKB 2030 are achieved, each party involved in the implementation of programs, projects and initiatives will also be given key performance indicators, KPIs, and targets according to the 15 key economic growth activities KEGAS cluster. At the same time, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the government was aware that the COVID-19 pandemic had affected several strategic trusts of WKB 2030, apart from causing many economic sectors in the country to be affected.
Saya merasakan bahawa pelaksanaan inisiatif-inisiatif di bawah WKB 2030 seperti yang ditentukan di peringkat awal wawasan ini di Global mungkin perlu diteliti semula dengan mengambil kira kesan pandemik COVID-19 ini.
The Prime Minister said the problem was now being actively addressed through the initiative of the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package, Prihatin, and the National Economic Regeneration Plan, Penjana. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said identity politics or race politics in multiracial Malaysia should not continue, even if it can't be totally erased. Well, he said with social media now a part of our lives, society is easily triggered when issues related to race, religion and income are raised in the process, affecting interracial relations.
Masing-masing ada sentimen masing-masing. Tapi walaupun begitu, yang penting dia tidak harus membawa kesan yang tidak baik. Contohnya kalau dia menentukan soal pengagihan kekayaan dalam negara. Orang Melayu yang menjadi sebahagian komponen besar dalam masyarakat merasakan bahawa mereka belum lagi cukup dibela. Mereka perlukan lebih, walaupun kalau ingat dahulu sudah ada pun dasar ekonomi baru. Tetapi kita teliti sekarang banyak ketirisan, banyak orang kata perkara-perkara yang tidak begitu baik berlaku, maka rasa tidak puas hati itu masih ada.
Speaking at the Balai Rakyat Makmur Bersama dialogue session, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said at the same time similar feelings and issues were also felt by other races in countries such as China and India. Therefore, he said the government's shared prosperity policy is seen as one of the solutions in addressing the problem in the next 10 years, including matters on how to bridge the racial economic divide. Also, the Prime Minister said the policy will not marginalize matters concerning women and family development. He said the Ministry of Women and Family Development and its agencies are always on the ground for feedback to ensure targeted groups are not neglected. Well, now for the COVID-19 updates. The Health Ministry had identified 4 new clusters yesterday. Well, 2 of them are in Sabah, while Selangor and Johor recorded 1 new cluster each. Its Director General, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, said the 2 clusters in Sabah were dubbed the Jalan Bomba cluster, which involve individuals with a travel history to Sempurna, Sabah. The Jalan Utara cluster was identified after screening health personnel at a training institute in Sandakan.
2 petugas kesihatan telah dikesan positif COVID-19 pada 28 September 2020. Mereka tidak bergejala dan telah dimasukkan ke Hospital Duchess of Kent, Sandakan. Pengenalpastian kontak rapat dan saringan masih lagi diteruskan oleh pejabat kesihatan kawasan Sandakan. Punca jangkitan masih dalam siasatan.
The Benteng PK cluster in Selangor was identified after the screening of illegal immigrants in Klang. Meanwhile, the Bakawali cluster in Johor was identified involving a husband and wife which had travel history to Sempurna, Sabah. In a related development, a team of experts from the Health Ministry will be dispatched to Sabah. They are expected to monitor and help increase controlling actions to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the state. According to Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham, in addition to the MOH frontliners, personal protective equipment PPE and ventilators will also be sent along.
Jadi kita lihat memang kita sedang membantu pejabat kesihatan negeri Sabah untuk kita agihkan ataupun kita hantar petugas-petugas frontliners kita daripada negeri-negeri lain, contohnya negeri Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang dan juga staf-staf petugas kita di HKL pun telah kita tempatkan di negeri Sabah dan Perak juga.
In another related development, mosques, prayer rooms, kindergartens, stalls and recreation centres in several locations of Jerantut Pahang were ordered to close. This following the detection of 4 COVID-19 cases in the area. Now, Jerantut Disaster Management Committee Chairman Khairul Nisa Aris said the affected mosques were Masjid Tengku Ahmad Jerantut and Surau Al-Muflihin. Kindergartens and nurseries at low-cost public housing areas PAKR Banda Baru Jerantut as well as PAKR Level 3 and 4 are also ordered to close for 14 days, while all night market and market activities as well as large-scale events, including feasts, have been ordered to be postponed. Leisure and recreation centres in which it is difficult to practice proper physical distancing are not allowed to operate during that period. Coming up next, COVID-19 pandemic not affecting public sector recruitment. Well, welcome back. Now, police seized 2,200 bottles of liquid believed to be cough medicine in a four-wheel drive vehicle in Tumpat, Kelantan. Now, previously, the driver of the vehicle was seen suspiciously speeding away when cited by authorities. According to Tumpat Police Chief Superintendent Abdul Rashid Maddaud, the suspicious vehicle was identified by the Patrol Care Unit officers. The suspect had attempted to escape, but the vehicle was found 15 minutes later in an unlocked and unmanned state.
Hasil pemeriksaan ke atas kenderaan berkenaan jenis Hilux yang berwarna merah telah menjumpai sebanyak 22 kotak yang di mana di dalamnya terdapat lebih kurang 2,200 botol cecair yang kita syaki sebagai ubat batuk. Nilai rampasan ini adalah lebih kurang 22,000.
Tracking of the owner of the cough medicine as well as the driver of the vehicle is currently underway, and the case is investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic will not affect the recruitment of public sector employees. Malaysia Public Services Commission, or SPA Chairman Tan Sri Zainal Rahim Seman said almost 22,000 qualified candidates were recruited on permanent and contract basis annually. Online interviews are also conducted to assess potential employees while maintaining proper measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 as practiced in Sabah and Sarawak last month.
COVID got nothing to do with whether there's a vacancy or not. It's based on your yearly requirement of each department. That's what you are saying. Recently, you heard about public service recruiting thousands of people to go into, their services, right? Because of COVID, right? It is not stopping that they are creating more. So it's all depend on the department itself, whether what they are requiring. If they said we need to have job and we have more people to come in, like doctors and nurses, and also in the hospital and everything. So rationally, they go and look at it and they analyze it and they propose to have it.
He said this at an event in the Pulau Pinang Urban Transformation Centre, UTC. Meanwhile, SPA has also updated their SPA 8i portal to SPA 9 to ease the process of updating data and intakes. Well, Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz says the total wage subsidy approved to employers under the wage subsidy program starting April 2020 amounted to 11.93 billion ringgit as at 18 September this year. Well, he said the initial 3-month program, and that's April, May and June, which had been extended for another 3 months to July, August and September, had benefited more than 2.6 million employees and 323,583 employers. However, he expressed his disappointment towards irresponsible employers who have exploited the government's efforts, adding that the government would not hesitate to take action against them.
Saya berasa sedih dengan syarikat-syarikat yang tidak bertanggungjawab, yang tergamak mengambil kesempatan melalui program subsidi upah. Kerajaan mendapat laporan bahawa sejumlah lebih kurang RM500,000 subsidi upah yang sepatutnya dibayar kepada pekerja telah diambil oleh majikan. Saya ingin menegaskan bahawa kerajaan tidak akan teragak-agak untuk mengambil tindakan kepada majikan yang melakukan kesalahan ini.
Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul said the wage subsidy program will be extended to between 3 and 6 months for existing and new applicants under the Kita Prihatin package. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister said there was an increase of 4,498 individuals who managed to get jobs under the recruitment incentive program and training assistance this week, bringing the total to 38,186 employees from 33,688 last week. She said 1.5 billion ringgit has been allocated for this program. Enterprises in Malaysia should reap the benefits of the 4.0 industrial revolution by implementing more innovative solutions. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Economy, Datuk Seri Mustafa Mohamad, said despite the economic turmoil caused by COVID-19, business, especially small to medium enterprises, that's SMEs, should improvise and adapt to digital technology.
We are grateful that quite a number of Malaysian enterprises have been able to adjust to this new situation. Of course, some SMEs in particular are still struggling. They're not yet on board as far as digitalization is concerned, and the government is committed to ensure that more and more SMEs embrace digital technology. There's no choice but to move forward on this.
He said this at the officiation ceremony of a new NEC Malaysia office in Kuala Lumpur. Meanwhile, NEC Chief Executive Officer Chong Kai Won said the company is currently finishing assembly of a new heat scanning and facial recognition device to screen for COVID-19 in 23 Malaysian airports. It is expected to be in operation by this November as a preparation to reopen borders and a safer cross-country travel. Also present was Japan Ambassador to Malaysia, Hiroshi Oka. Trump-Biden trade heated barbs in first presidential debate. That and more coming up in our foreign segment. Kuwait's Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmad Al Sabah, regarded as the architect of the nation's modern foreign policy, died on Tuesday at the age of 91. Now, Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al Sabah, the minister in charge of royal affairs, announced the emir's death in a televised statement. Well, state television had cut its regular programming and switched to a broadcast of Quranic recital before the announcement. And the emir had been receiving hospital treatment in the United States since July after undergoing surgery in Kuwait City. No details have been disclosed on the nature of the emir's illness or treatment, and the palace did not say where he died. The emir, who has ruled the oil-rich Gulf state since 2006, had his appendix removed in 2002, 2 years after having a pacemaker fitted. In 2007, he underwent urinary tract surgery in the U.S. Born in 1929, Sheikh Sabah is widely regarded as the architect of modern Kuwait's foreign policy, having served as foreign minister for nearly 40 years between 1963 to 2003, when he became prime minister. Sheikh Sabah was the 15th leader in a Kuwaiti family that has ruled for more than 250 years. Sheikh Sabah is survived by 2 sons. Meanwhile, Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Sabah has been named as Kuwait new emir. Deputy Prime Minister Anas Khalid Al Saleh said in a televised address that pursuant to the provisions of the Constitution, the cabinet calls upon the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah as the emir of the state of Kuwait. Joe Biden and Donald Trump exchanged heated barbs Tuesday, attacking each other's competence and credibility in a fiery, fierce presidential debate 35 days ahead of the most tense U.S. election in recent memory. Now, there was no handshake as the two men took the stage, and while this was due to COVID-19 restrictions, the absence of the traditional greeting symbolized the bitterness engulfing the country in the final countdown to 3rd November. Just minutes in, the debate turned into an all-out and personal brawl as they raced through issues from a Supreme Court vacancy to the coronavirus pandemic to the U.S. health care system.
Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to make sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make. I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question
you want to
is
put a lot of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
right,
gentlemen. I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
Biden, who is leading in polls, sought to tie Trump squarely to the COVID-19 pandemic that has claimed more than 200,000 lives in the United States, more than in any other country. Trump hit back at one point, charged at the radical left has Biden wrapped around their finger. He also attacked Biden's insistence on wearing a mask to prevent COVID, a decision in line with medical experts' advice. The debate was moderated by Fox News host Chris Wallace and was aired on every major U.S. television network, in addition being live streamed worldwide. Trump and Biden will again take to the debate stage October 15 and October 22nd in the final 2 presidential debates. Malaysia is deeply concerned over the deteriorating security situation in the Nagorno-Karabakh region of the Republic of Azerbaijan following the renewed intense military clashes that began on 27 September. Now, the Foreign Affairs Ministry, or MOFA, in a statement said Malaysia expressed regret over the loss of lives, including civilians, due to these hostilities. Well, it stated that Malaysia joins the calls by the international community for the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of Azerbaijan to exercise maximum restraint and take concrete steps to de-escalate the tension between the 2 immediate neighbors. It said Malaysia urges the concerned parties to continue giving primacy to resolving the conflict amicably through dialogue and diplomacy. According to the statement, Malaysia supports all efforts aimed at finding a peaceful settlement of the conflict based on international law, including the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. Well, Germany will impose a cap on the number of people at parties and family gatherings in areas worst affected by the COVID-19. Now, with recent outbreaks in the country frequently traced to weddings and other private events, Chancellor Angela Merkel said a reaction is therefore necessary to halt the spread of the virus. Any region where infection rates reach 35 per 100,000 people would be required to impose a cap of 50 people maximum at gatherings in public spaces or rented venues. If rates shoot up to 50 per 100,000 people, then only 25 people would be allowed at public gatherings. The Chancellor also encouraged citizens to stay in Germany during the upcoming autumn school holidays, given the rapid increase in infection rates in neighboring European countries.
Von Markus Söder. Wir haben sehr, sehr viele Risikogebiete jetzt im europäischen Bereich. Und ich glaube, dass Urlaubsreisen in Risikogebiete, dass das nicht so angezeigt ist, die dorthin durchzuführen. Und deshalb kann man auch gut in Deutschland reisen. Es gibt auch Bereiche.
Merkel reiterated the importance of taking targeted local action against regional outbreaks, saying another nationwide shutdown must be prevented. She warned that new infection numbers in Germany, currently at around 2,000 a day, could leap to 19,200 daily by Christmas if the current trend continued.
Disney will be cutting 28,000 jobs from its U.S. theme parks division, singling out California's restrictions that have prevented the giant Disneyland resort from reopening due to the COVID-19 crisis. Well, about two-thirds of the affected employees are part-time staff. The Mouse House said in a press release that the cuts were needed in light of social distancing requirements and depressed demand caused by the pandemic, along with uncertainty on when the parks will recover. While drawing millions of tourists each year, Disneyland in Anaheim near Los Angeles is the world's second most visited theme park after the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World in Orlando. But unlike the Disney theme parks in Florida, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai and Paris, the Anaheim resort has so far been unable to reopen due to the Golden State's COVID restrictions. Disneyland had originally been scheduled to reopen in July, but that was called off as local officials rolled back reopenings due to another coronavirus surge. California's 805,000 confirmed cases are now the most of any U.S. state. The move to lay off thousands of workers comes on the heels of Disney's $4.7 billion loss in the most recent quarter, which reflected to hit to its theme park business and the derailment of postponement or major movie releases. Adele, a teenager allegedly raped by 4 upper caste men, died of her injuries on Tuesday, sparking outrage from Indian activists, politicians and Bollywood stars. India's 200 million low-caste, untouchable Dalits have long faced discrimination and abuse, and campaigners say attacks have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The 19-year-old woman was brutally assaulted in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh on 14 September. According to the authorities, the 4 accused have been arrested. Found lying in a pool of blood and paralyzed from injuries to her neck and spine, the woman was rushed to a local hospital before being brought to New Delhi on Monday as her condition worsened. Hathras District Police Chief Vikrant Veer said the woman died during the course of treatment on Tuesday morning, adding they would ensure swift investigation and trial in the case. The news comes months after 4 men were hanged for the brutal gang rape and murder of a student on a bus in Delhi in 2012. Bollywood personalities, cricket stars and women's rights activists took to social media to condemn this month's attack. Women in India are subjected to alarming levels of sexual assaults irrespective of their caste or class. Nearly 34,000 rapes were reported in the country in 2018, but the figures are considered the tip of the iceberg, with many victims too scared to come forward.
Coming up in sports, Djokovic makes rapid French Open start. Well, Novak Djokovic was described as a snake killing its prey by vanquished Roland Garros opponent Michael Ymer on Tuesday as the world #1's bid to become the first man in the half of a century to win all 4 Grand Slam titles twice got off to a convincing start. Well, Djokovic eased to a 6-love, 6-2, 6-3 victory, reaching the second round in Paris for a record equaling 16th time.
It was also his 32nd win in 33 matches in 2020, his only loss coming when he was defaulted from the US Open. There was evidence of the old Djokovic fierceness on show Tuesday. During the third set, he appeared to be heckled by a spectator wearing a Roger Federer hat. But the world number one, who shot a prolonged angry glare at his tormentor, shrugged off the incident, which was hard to ignore, at a tournament where only 1,000 fans are allowed on site each day due to the coronavirus restrictions. Top seed Djokovic will meet Lithuania's Ričardas Berankis for a place in the last 32. Berankis, the world number 66, won his first main draw match at Roland Garros after 6 losses when he saw off Hugo de Leon of Bolivia 6-1, 6-4, 6-4.
And in the world of football, Manchester City announced the signing of Portuguese international centre-back Ruben Dias on a 6-year deal from Benfica on Tuesday in the hope of solving the defensive problem that have dogged Pep Guardiola's side over the past year. Well, Benfica on Sunday confirmed they had reached an agreement to sell Dias for €68 million plus an extra €3.6 million in potential bonuses.
In a City statement, Diaz said it was really exciting to be part of such a talented squad and to play for a world-class manager like Pep Guardiola, who has a proven track record of developing young players. Benfica coach Jorge Jesus said at the weekend that selling Diaz was necessary for the club to balance their accounts. Diaz becomes City's third signing of the summer after centre-back Nathan Ake from Bournemouth and Spanish winger Ferran Torres. The need for more defensive reinforcements was evident as City was thrashed 5-2 at home to Leicester City on Sunday, the first time a Guardiola side has ever conceded 5 in his distinguished managerial career. Diaz becomes just the latest in a string of expensive defensive signings, totaling over €450 million since Guardiola was appointed in 2016.
Liverpool midfielder Thiago Alcantara has tested positive for COVID-19. The Premier League champions confirmed on Tuesday. Well, the 29-year-old who joined from Bayern Munich this month missed Monday's 3-1 win over Arsenal and will now self-isolate.
Liverpool, in a statement, said the club had and would continue to follow all protocols relating to COVID-19 and Thiago would remain in self-isolation for the required period of time. The Spanish international will miss another clash with Arsenal in the League Cup on Thursday, as well as Sunday's Premier League trip to Aston Villa, but could be available for the Merseyside derby at Everton on 17 October. On Monday, the Premier League announced 10 players or staff had tested positive for COVID-19 in the previous week, the highest number of infections since mass testing began in May.
And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, Shared Prosperity Action Council to monitor Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. Tune in to news at 10, coming up at 10 p.m. on Saluran Berita RTM on My Free Views channel 123, or you can also stream the news by surfing RTM's MyClick. Thank you for watching. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos, and stay tuned to TV2.